It was not long before Naomi and her protector returned. She wasted no time to make the explorer, the witch, or the village aware that she was there. In an awe-inspiring entrance, Naomi burst from the sky and landed in the center of the village. Those who witnessed it were utterly terrified. They had never seen a person fly across and descend from the sky like a bird. Those who survived had heard of her previous battle with the explorer and the witch. They looked on in terror, and they had good reason to be terrified. Every time she looked at the villagers, she saw betrayal. No amount of suffering and blood seemed sufficient to comfort her on the loss of her family. As she walked past, she looked indiscriminately at them and commanded them to fall and suffer in pain or to die. She also dispatched her panther to maul the villagers. A short time later, the explorer's witch appeared. She was holding the hand of the explorer. "You weak witch. Why would you allow yourself to be controlled by this lesser being? We are a union and a partnership. He's loved me since my youth. I'm not controlled. My sisters give their regards, but you already knew this. They each gave me a special gift just for you." The explorer replied, "I did know. I did know." "I've warned them of your advances onto our beautiful country and onto our land. They will not allow you or your kind the slightest opportunity to forge your agenda. Your best efforts won't delay the inevitable." The panther looked up from tearing apart a villager and growled. Blood dripped from his whiskers and flowed down his chin. "You've been warned several times and have luckily escaped. You won't this time in spite of your best efforts." The explorer conjured a mental image of complete darkness, and Naomi experienced a form of blindness. She instinctively extended her hands forward and widened her stance for stability and balance. The panther realized something was wrong and transformed himself from the panther into her partner, her husband. He gently grabbed her hands and moved them to his face. Naomi calmed herself and felt the contours of her loving husband's face. With only a few words whispered, Naomi was in control of her thoughts and power. "See through me. Use my eyes. I will protect you." Naomi moved her hands and smiled. Through her love's eyes, she watched as the explorer wondered what to do next. The explorer leaned over and spoke to his witch. Sounds came from his face, but it was inaudible. Naomi had bound his lips. He could not open his mouth. The explorer became anxious and he started to lose strength in his mental conjuring as some slight light returned to Naomi's eyes. The explorer's witch saw the explorer's distress and brushed her fingers across his lips. Using his mouth, he took a deep breath in and swallowed, forcefully and urgently. Angered, he reestablished the pitch-black mental image in Naomi's mind, and Naomi remained calm. "I have sight through you. Go capture and kill the explorer. I'll take care of the meddlesome witch." Naomi called forth Algerian ivy to overtake the witch. With little time to react, the ivy wrapped and bound the witch. The ivy started to choke her. With only seconds to react in order to save herself, the witch engulfed herself in flames and burned away the ivy. She then grabbed the panther by the neck as he was approaching the shrinking explorer. She slammed him onto his back and proceeded to choke and crush his windpipe. Naomi extended her right hand into the air and choked the explorer's witch and swiped her other hand left, tossing the explorer several feet in the air. Forced to choose between killing the panther and saving the explorer before falling onto a bamboo tree in his trajectory, she lifted the panther and tossed his limp body to the ground. The witch stood and equally choked Naomi with one hand and struggled to slow the explorer's descent with the other hand. They both released each other. Naomi moved to see her husband, the panther. The explorer's witch stopped him just before almost breaking his back. The panther was in dire condition, however, Naomi was soon at his side as she proceeded to heal him. Wasting no time to further hurt Naomi and the panther, the explorer instructed the witch to keep his eyes closed and to hamper the healing process. He must not open his eyes. Ensure it. The explorer caused Naomi to imagine the panther was safe. He was safe, but he was only slowly coming to. The explorer's witch assumed the form of the panther. "Come with me." The witch led Naomi away to safety to recover and obtain a brief reprieve and to prepare to continue the battle with the explorer and his witch. As her love came to, he alerted Naomi that something was wrong. Naomi whispered something to the posing witch, and suddenly she called forth a bolt of lightning that struck her. The The force and impact of the strike shook the ground and tossed the two witches several feet apart. The force was accompanied by a bright glow that caused temporary eye strain and glaring blindness to all onlookers, including the explorer. As the explorer adjusted his eyes, he released Naomi from the lightlessness mental conjuring he had created. When he next opened his eyes, saw Naomi and his witch embattled. Immediately, he reestablished the darkness upon Naomi. This gave his witch a slight advantage, enough of an advantage to overpower Naomi. The explorer's witch grabbed at a strand of Naomi's hair and proceeded to bind her powers. Nothing more than a mere woman you'll be, and I have taken your abilities from thee. Naomi raised her hand to sweep the explorer's witch away from her, and nothing happened. The explorer laughed. The villagers breathed a sigh of relief. The panther, now in the form of Naomi's husband, yelled out. The explorer's witch looked on over to him angrily and brought forth an equally menacing panther. Still dazed and slightly injured, Naomi's panther retreated after exchanging a few blows. The explorer influenced the villagers to erect a structure fashioned of wood. They tied Naomi to it and set it ablaze. Naomi shouted that vengeance would be hers, and she shrieked in pain as her exposed flesh was burned from the flames until she could resist no longer and she succumbed to the fire.